visitors or remarks sign at 6 o'clock. Public hearing to receive comments of residents concerning variance request on the rear setback requirements for home to be set 15 feet instead of the 25 feet front setback on lot 13, block 2 of the proposed Centaurus subdivision. No one's here to talk on that, right?
Is there anyone to speak on that? That's the development north of Highway 100 on FM 803.
Is that on Henderson or is that right on 803 that being off the other side?
It's south of Henderson. Would you like to speak to it?
No, I was just wondering, I don't
Okay.
understand what this is actually talking about.
Okay. They'll get to it in the action item then.
6:01, that hearing is closed. Item number 2, public hearing to receive comments from residents concerning a variance request on the front setback requirements for a home to be set 10 feet instead of the required 25 feet from setback located at 1900 Baja Drive. Anyone here to speak on that?
Good afternoon. So technically, I'm requesting for that variance because otherwise the house that we're proposing to build cannot be built. The maximum square footage that fits, if we don't have that setback changed, would be 1,200 feet, which is very small for a family of 4. The only thing that would fit would be a 2-story if it's left like that, but my client doesn't have the money for, or the budget for something 2-story, so we're wanting to do something 1,400 square feet. So the only way that something like that can fit, we already tried a lot of different configurations, but the only way that something like that 1,400 feet can fit if it's the variance is passed or accepted.
You the builder?
Yes. So if you have any questions, I'm here.
They can't answer.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, that public hearing item is closed at 6:02. Public hearing number 3, public hearing to receive comments from the residents concerning a variance request on a home being set to face Baja Circle instead of Baja Drive.
Technically, the reason why it's because, I don't know, you guys have the paperwork? So if we take the front of the house as that Baja Drive, then the house does not fit. It has to be the curve, that little curve, which would be Baja Circle, which is right next to it. That would have to be the front in order for the house to fit. Because otherwise it doesn't fit. And we already tried, like I said, many configurations, but it doesn't fit. The only thing that fits would be something 1,200 feet, but which is very, very small. Yeah, that's just it. So we would like to take that little curve, which is Baja Circle, as the front of the house instead of the Baja Drive.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? That action item is closed. Public hearing to receive comments from the residents concerning variance requests on fence height requirements for the front yard chain link fence from 4 feet to 6 feet located at 31241 Texas Highway 100. Anyone here to speak on that? That item is closed. Public hearing to receive comments from public concerning a request for conditional use permit to allow a duplex to be built at 512 Canal Street. Anyone here to talk on that?
Good evening. I was just inquiring to see if a duplex can be built on that, since there's houses and there's a lot of grandfathered trailers as well. And also, there's a lot of lots there, and I wanted to see also what would be the price to put a sewer line, because there's no sewer line to be built as well, if it does get approved to build a duplex.
Are you the owner of the lot?
Yes,
You
I'm
own
the
lot?
owner, yes,
Okay.
yes.
We'll answer those. I think someone already answered those questions for you before you sent the
But I wanted to know,
request in.
well, that's the thing, I didn't send the request, it was somebody else. It's because I'm putting the lots for sale, and somebody else put the request, it wasn't me, but I did get the letter in the mail. So I don't know how that works, how somebody can put a request when it's my lots. Or can somebody just
She said
inquire?
she owned the lot.
No, I own the lots.
Okay. We'll deal
So,
with that.
yeah, that was another question as far as a request when I'm the owner of the lots and somebody else can just do the application. Oh, actually, there's 2 lots. And I've been wanting to build not just a duplex, but also a house. But we're unable to do that because there's no sewer line. So I also wanted to know what the cost could be for a sewer line as well. Because I've inquired about it for some time. Not just a duplex also, but for a house. But as far as the duplex, that wasn't me, that was somebody else.
Okay.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing is closed at 6:06. Action item number 1, consider an action to approve a variance request on the rear setback requirements for home to be set back 15 feet instead of the required 25 feet from the front setback, lot 13, block 2 of the proposed Centaurus subdivision.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you see in your packet the layout. Very nice development, proposed development. There's one lot that as you cut the corner, turn the corner, makes it kind of a triangle, and so it reduces the size of the lot. You can see in the package there that he provided that they can build a 2,024 square foot home if this is allowed, so it'd be a nice size home to fit in that neighborhood that would, about what would be there. If you'll remember, we do give variances usually on cul-de-sacs. This, the way he designed this, doesn't have any, which is good. So the only issue is that one lot that we'd like to have you look at, and it's our recommendation to approve that.
Any discussion? Ma'am, motion?
I make the motion to be approved.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, consider an action to approve variance request for the front setback requirements for a home to be set 10 feet instead of the required 25 feet from the front setback located at 1995 High Drive.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, in your packet, you can see that lot on page 42. This development happened many, many years ago. City of Brownsville did it, so we weren't involved. We would have addressed something in the beginning, like we did the action item before, instead of at the end. But the way the Baja Drive goes, there's really no way to fit a house except to allow that variance on there and to change the direction of the home. We've looked at it several different ways. We have to also be cognizant of the house next door. We don't want to change the setbacks towards the road, because then it would allow for a fence to be put all the way up to that roadway. And then if you're the neighbor, you look to the left and there's a fence. So that's why we're not asking for the setbacks to be changed. It's just to adjust that one for the house only. That way the fence doesn't become a problem later for the neighbor. I wouldn't want to have my house here and then I look to the side and there's a fence all the way up to the road. And that would happen if you allowed it to be changed. Does that make sense? So all we're asking then is allow the variance on the setback.
Any discussion?
Are you worried at all these variances setting precedents for other properties?
No, because like I say, this one was very unusual because of the layout. Don't know why they did that, because it was in the city of Brownsville. So this is a one-off. Others, yes, if there's no true reason for it, but otherwise, if we don't really, this lot is not buildable, or it would be a really small house, and then, if you'll recall, last meeting, that became an issue with people around there, not around here, but around other developments, say, why don't you build houses the same size in that same area? So that was all taken in consideration, so, yeah, just in general variances, no, I don't like them. But this is, to me, a special one.
Any other comments, discussion? Can I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 3, consider an action to approve variance request on the home being set to face Baja Circle instead of Baja Drive.
This happens on corners and when we do new developments now, we have them, as part of the plat, say which way it faces. And this one would normally face Baja Drive, but again, because of the way the layout of that lot, the only real way to do it is the Baja Circle. And don't like those. You'll see some of those in the around the old part of town that when they didn't really address which way the house faced, you'll have a lot, especially on the corner, facing a different house facing a different way, and it just doesn't look uniform. In this particular case, because of the long and narrow odd shape of the lot, it won't be an issue like the others. And there's really no other way to put a home there of any size.
Any discussion? Can I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, consider an action to approve a variance request on fence height requirements for front yard chain link fence from 4 feet to 6 feet located at 31241 Texas Highway 100.
Once again, another variance, which to Larry's comment, do you have a concern? Yes, I have a concern. That area was in the county for my whole lifetime up until a few years back. The development to the west of this property put up a 6-foot wooden fence, and it was allowed because it was county. It wasn't city area. So next door, we have a mechanic shop that wants to put a chain link and do a little higher. Been having people go in, and a 4 foot, they're afraid people would just jump that. My thought, and it's just a thought as we were talking about it, is because it's a mechanic shop, it would probably look better as a passing motorist that you have a 6-foot wooden fence, solid fence, to protect, because there's always going to be a bunch of cars at a mechanic shop. They're all that way, and this might be a way to make the area look better and dress it up. If you do have a problem with the variance at all, well, then I would stick with a 4-foot chain link fence. A 6-foot chain link fence really doesn't do good for the city much, but a 6-foot wooden would, as far as appearance only. So it's kind of a decision you'll have to make on what you like on aesthetics versus the reason for the fence is to not have, to be able to see the businesses and not be closed off.
A lot of the fences along there are already 6 foot tall, aren't they? Quite a few of them.
And chain. The what? Push the button.
Said the Jumpy House place on the other side of the road is chain link.
Yeah, which was also the county area before city took it over, and so it was grandfathered.
Anybody else?
Just a quick question. Did the owner of that property, were they requesting chain link versus the wooden fence?
They requested the chain link, or is anybody here from there? They requested the chain link. We're the ones that said, you know, maybe we should, if they're gonna do that, request, do it solid. So they did not request the solid wood fence. You can see well, if you can read Spanish, the request was for a chain link, 6 foot. They just didn't feel like the 4 foot would be secure enough. So, good point, to bring that up. Yeah.
So, Mark, so can we, since they asked for chain link, can, with a wooden fence?
Yes, you can make any stipulations with a variance that you feel are the right thing, is the right thing to do. Does that make sense? So you could say no, and they have to do a 4-foot chain link. You can say yes to their variance as a 6-foot chain link, or you say, yes, I see what you're saying, but because of the neighbor already has a 6-foot fence, it'll match up with that, and it's solid, but solid, and it'll contain and close off the mini cars and stuff that's there at a mechanic shop. And do whichever one you wish.
When the old fence, like, say there's a 6 foot fence right there, right now on an existing property. If they replace that fence, do they have to get a variance to put in a new fence, or they put in exactly what they already have?
They're able to fix it, and if they tore it all down and started over, then it would become, and not using it for what it's being used now, and they wanted to start over, well, then it would be like having a new fence. But if they just, you know, say it blew down, there was a storm blew down, and 2 weeks from now, well, then they could put it back up as long as forever.
So by denying this, we could actually, in the future, they all be 4-foot fences.
Correct. That's the other good thing to look at is just because one is bad today doesn't mean need to do another one, not bad, but different than our ordinance. There's another good thought is, well, let's make it the way that the ordinance is now, and then sometime in the future that will go away. Kind of like what the lady said earlier about mobile homes. There are certain areas they're not allowed. They can stay there, but you can't bring a new one in. So to be a purist, that would be one of the things to consider and do.
What's next door to this? That there's a wooden fence already there.
That's, I I don't know the name of it, part of the old IES, it's a training for, huh? Compass. That's down where they house the children and women immigrants, down further on the other side of the road.
Now, that fence is not 6 feet.
Yes. Theirs is 6 foot wood.
Well, then I would suggest a 6-foot wooden fence.
I make a motion to approve with a condition that it's a 6-foot fence,
Do I have a second?
wooden fence, sorry.
Do I have a second with that condition?
Yeah, I will.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 5. Consider an action to approve request for conditional permit to allow duplex to be built on 512 Canal.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, due to the information just received, I say we take no action, but I will answer some of the questions she raised. And for you, there is no sewer from the last house on Canal Street on the north side. The line would have to be extended to the property. The folks that brought this in, which I assumed was the owner, said they would extend it. It is a single-family area. However, if you'll look at your paper on page 60, it's right across the street from Lopez Riggins. And there's no before the property of Lopez Riggins, there's looks like an alleyway because the street was never built. It's, we call it the old Fresno Street right of way. That buffers between the homes and Lopez Riggins. And then across the street you have house, but then it becomes vacant lots from there on because there was no sewer ever extended to there. Because it's across the street from Lopez Riggins, in our minds as staff, we thought that that could be a place that duplexes could be considered because of its location. If it wasn't located across the street from Lopez Riggins, I would say no, definitely keep it single family. But that's just something to think on. Evidently it'll probably come back up, but really we shouldn't take action if they don't own it or have a first right of refusal to purchase it before we make those decisions. But it's something for you to think on in your mind for future. As far as us extending it, we've been looking for some grants to extend that sewer. It's about 300 feet or 400 feet of extension that we'd have to do. But we've never had the funds to do it, so I've been looking for a way to get that done and just haven't done it yet.
So we can just table this until we get an answer on the sewer. I mean, nobody can build anything there right now anyway.
Sewer or someone that owns a property or has permission from the property owner that they're going to extend it. This person said they would extend it. And so that's why it was here. And we assumed that they owned it. Definitely they don't. Take no action.
Do we need a motion to table that?
Make a motion to table that.
I second.
Just take no action, Robin.
No action. Item number 6, consider an action to approve the final plat for Pomelo Bend subdivision.
You have the plat before you. It mirrors the preliminary plat, and we've looked at it staff-wise. Hanson Professional Service, Rick Riggins is here, has looked at it and say everything's laid out the way it's supposed to be and recommends approval.
I have a question on that. And my question pertains to, of course, going off of the plaque, it's got a drainage easement that goes into the Cuates Resaca. And my question is everybody allowed to drain into a Cuates Resaca that, say, in the future is going to start a new subdivision? And if there's something that says that they are allowed to do that, do we have something that is in writing so that we can cover ourselves in case they may come back and they say, well, you allowed it over here on Pomelo, and you're not allowing it over here on my subdivision that I want to start, and we need to cover ourselves to avoid any discrimination legalities, you know what I'm saying?
Great question. Particularly because we talked about the area around Cuates and Henderson Road last time, and they wouldn't allow the drainage into the Resaca around the Cuates area. All of those that drainage piece is approved by Cameron County Irrigation District number 6. And so they look at the way it is, and they said that was the only way it could drain is into the Resaca, so they allow it. And so we don't, there can't be a precedent set for us because we don't approve those. We don't have the authority to approve that. So that's approved in part of the plat. You can see a bunch of signature blocks. One of them is Cameron County Irrigation District number 6. And they have already voted and said they allow that in this case because there's nowhere else for it to drain. On the other development from last time, I say that's the case there too. However, because there is a drainage to the north, even though it goes a long ways instead of 200 feet to the Resaca, they say you have to take that. So it's a different situation, or they look at it a different situation. So does that make sense? We're not approving that drainage. Cameron County Irrigation District number 6 is.
So that being said, when you say the city of Los Fresnos is not approving it, right? It's Cameron County that's approving it?
The drainage piece. We're approving the plat for the items that we are responsible for as a city. One of the things that we are not responsible for in that area is drainage into that. Only Cameron County Irrigation District number 6 can approve that, and they have approved that. Same way they decided to do septic systems. We don't inspect those, we don't do those, so Cameron County does that. So even though it's on the plat, it's got to be on the plat. There will be a signature for Cameron County that they sign off on that piece of it. Another thing that we're not approving here in this is the water, because the water there is provided by East Rio Hondo Water Supply. And so we aren't signing off on that. Normally, if it's in our city limits and also in our water area, we would be looking at that as well. So does that make sense? All of that stuff has to be on one plat, but there's probably 20 different signatures of people that have to approve that. The developer's here, I guess. You got,
I know it's consideration, so I don't know.
go ahead. Yes. I think it's good if you got.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, yeah, I mean, part of the challenge here is there is a lot of jurisdictions that have to sign off, and you have to get a lot of approval processes. So I mean, we've been kind of at this subdivision for a little bit, but we had to go get approval from East Rio Hondo on the water, and that took a little while. I just wanted to let you know, all the signatures are signed. So on the Mylar, East Rio Hondo has already signed, Cameron County District 6 has signed, Cameron County District 3 has signed. Pretty much all the signatures with the exception, it's at the county, about to get signed. And then obviously the city's always the last one that signs. So we've had that challenge with specific to the drainage. We did go through the process of the district. Our engineer got together with Ferris Flynn, who is the district engineer. We had to do a little detention pond so that the water doesn't necessarily run straight off. It runs to the detention first and then into the Resaca. There's all these little details that we had to get through to get District 6 approval, Irrigation District 6 approval, but we did. We built it the right way. They inspected it, and they signed off on it. So we're here kind of at the tail end. You know, I'm here to answer any questions. I would like to commend, now that I have the floor, I would like to commend staff. I have the ability, I have in my job, this is a personal project, I work with cities from San Antonio all the way down. The process here has been very smooth, and it is to be commended. The staff is always available to answer a question or answer something. So, you know, keep doing what you're doing.
The other piece to the puzzle is if it's in the city of Los Fresnos, we're the last ones to sign, so we see that all of those have been signed. If it's in the county, they're the last ones to sign. If it's in Harlingen, that city is the last one to sign because they see that the water's taken care of, the sewer's taken care of, if it's not theirs, the drainage taken care of, all of those things are handled. So that gives us the security to do that way.
And like I said, all the signatures, with the exception of the county and the city, have been obtained.
So that being said, this process will be taken for any new upcoming subdivision, correct?
I think it's, if I may answer, I think it's a process. It just depends if it's in the jurisdiction, what jurisdiction it's in, right? Because if it's Los Fresnos water, well, it's a whole different process. But if for property that's in East Rio Hondo jurisdiction, also Cameron County District 6 jurisdiction, then yes, the process would be the same, right?
Okay.
It's just about the jurisdictions, and this one has 3 different ones. Hopefully the next subdivision I do will be all Los Fresnos.
It's confusing, but I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for your clarifications. Any other discussion? Can I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, last meeting we had this development come and it had 118 lots, and we had quite a few people here from the area concerned about the fact that they were smaller size lots than I think there's 10 or 12, I don't remember exactly how many lots there along Henderson Road. And so we took no action so that they could go back and see what they wanted to do. The developer, first, the residents got together And Mr. Keeler actually did a drawing with 96 homes, and said that while they're larger lots, and they would lose lots as far as the numbers to sell because of the road configuration and water and sewer you could save, and plus you could sell the lots for higher. When the developer finally brought it in last week, they reduced it even more to 80 lots instead of 118. So they trimmed off considerable amount, and they're comfortable with that. And I was pretty detailed on my notes on page 67 of the different size lots. Most of them are 11 to 12,000 square feet, but there are some quite a larger than that. 40 of them out of the 80, so half of them are at 11 to 12,000. Since Mr. Keeter did the other one with 96 and said the residents will be happy with that, with them being bigger than that even, and there's only 80 lots, they should be really elated that the developer has come with that layout. This is not a preliminary plat. All it is, hey, this is the lots configuration, and we've reduced from 118 to 80. Can we move forward with the preliminary plat on designing the rest of it? So that's what's before you.
Yeah, and that being said, they will be coming up with a new plat, correct?
Correct.
So that we can review it? Okay, good, thank you.
Mark, I just had a quick question. How did they address the drainage concerns?
If you look at my notes in there, the drainage has been fixed. I know the people say it hasn't, but there hasn't been a huge rain. The drains, that area drains to the north, and there was a pipe that was not draining at all. It wasn't like draining a little bit or draining slowly. It wasn't draining at all. Cameron County Drainage District number 4 replaced that, and since then the water has flowed. We haven't got the huge rain, but we've gotten some sizable rains, and we haven't had any problems. Mr. Desi mentioned that he had walked up there and it's wet, it's muddy. Well, it hasn't been leveled yet, so to grade. So of course it would if you walked in certain places, because it's not to the grade it will be at in the final plat. So our engineers, the drainage district engineers, we all think that drainage issue is a moot point, because if you also see even in the change of the plats, there's a huge detention area. So the huge detention area is to get all of that immediate water away from those homes and the areas and hold it there as it goes on to the north.
Got it, thanks.
Mark?
My question is,
Can you put your mic on?
My question is, since he reduced the number of lots and he enlarged some lots, right?
All of them.
He enlarged all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Had to, to get from 118 to 80, they had to change them
Yeah.
all.
So if we were to approve this, and can we come back and question some things, and if questions do arise?
Yes, all you're doing, except for lot size, we want you to approve that you're comfortable with these lot sizes and the reduction from 118 to 80 lots and making them very large lots, which is unheard of in this day and time. You're not improving the preliminary plat and on all of that, but you you would be approving this, and so when the preliminary plat comes, it needs to look like this. And if there's any variation to it, you would need to be given an explanation of why. You know, if they had to move something because of a sewer line, or I don't know what it would be, but yes. They just don't want to go, they spend a ton of money doing the preliminary and final plat, and then the residents say no, and we wouldn't approve it. So they don't want to go through that process again until they know that, hey, this layout worked for you. And the way I see it is really, really good. If I was a developer, I wouldn't have done that. Because the problem with last meeting is they met all of the subdivision requirements for a preliminary and final plat. The only thing is, you could say in there, there's a piece in the code that says to keep areas more consistent. And they had a valid point, and we felt that they had a valid point. So that's why we went back to the developer and said, hey, can you get these lots larger so that, you know, there's gonna be some really, really nice homes. They'll be, instead of $200,000 and $225,000 homes, they're gonna be $300,000, $400,000 and $500,000 homes, which will be more than most of those along the highway that are there now, even though they have bare lots. Their homes aren't that big. So, you're not approving the preliminary plat, the way it drains, the way it, the sewer lines, the water lines, all that. You're just saying that we're good with the changes you made on the size of the lots.
Any other discussion? Have a motion to approve just the layout.
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Action item number 8, consider an action to approve the minutes from October 21st, 2024 Planning Zoning meeting.
I make a motion to approve.
Aye, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 9, consider an action to appoint a chairman and vice chairman.
I make a motion to approve Robbie as the chairman. And, I make a motion for him as vice.
Do we have a second?
I approve it. Or I make the motion. Oh, I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. This meeting's adjourned.